All right, so I want to build on what he said. We've got these different items. Start with that tie down chapter. But I also want to help clarify a little bit in the close, another easy thing that we could add in. Not trying to tackle this close all at once, trying to, master 6 or 7 different moving parts. So in the Grasso manual, what's the first close he talks about? Anybody? What's the name of it? It's called the retail close. And then we do the retail close, and then we transition from there using qualification into the major close. And then after that, he gives you a whole catalog of 9 or 10 different closes that literally you can plug in as a conversation if the right conversation comes up. That return on investment close that I did with the value, where you could use an energy audit on Windows. He's got what's called the Titanic close. So again, don't tackle this all at once. I'm going to show you the thought pattern between retail, qualification, and major close. And I'm going to show it to you so it will work, whether you're still doing 1-year coupon GM or whether you're doing 1 year and qualification and major close as you're going to Grasso. So if I were going to do 3 things over the next month, I would read tie down chapter. I would read this breakdown between the retail, qualification, and qualification and major close. And I would pick 1, no more than 2 of these closes that he has separately listed. Read them all. Pick 1 or 2 you really like. I could do that. That makes sense. That's come up a bunch in the house. I could have used that last week. And challenge yourself to incorporate that close into your process. So, and I don't want you to do this between now and next Thursday. I want you in the next month, by the end of February. So if you're reading each morning, one morning you read the tie down chapter, it'd take you about 15 minutes to read it. The next morning, you could just quickly review for 10 or 15 minutes the retail, qualification, and major close. And then the next morning, you could read that 1, and the next morning, the second, if you're doing 2 close that you really like, and then go back and start over. And by the end of the month, you have read tie downs 6 or 8 times and been practicing it in the home. You'll have read the retail, qualification, and major close 6 or 8 times and used it in the home. And you'll have mastered 1 or 2 closes out of these 12 that he's got. And then you can go learn 2 more the next month. That's all this is. We're not asking you to devote 2 hours a day. I'm not asking you to role play these, other than just chatting to yourself in the car where you can get the verbiage down outside of your regular life and take time for your regular life. Carve out 10, 15 minutes at the most to read it. Self-talk on the way to your leads. Turn your car into your university. Turn the rock and roll up. You need the music to jazz you up. Play it the last 10 minutes, not the whole time you're there. And then go in the demo and start practicing these. I'm telling you, you'll start making phenomenal progress. So the retail close. And I know we haven't done a break. I'm only going to go for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to get you guys out of here. So hang tight. The retail close. This is when you're going to introduce your 1-year number. You're going to find out whether it's finance or cash. And what do we have to double dig down on if they say we're going to pay cash? Are these funds that are readily available, or were you planning on going to get them somewhere, maybe your bank or something? Remember, there's 3 kinds of buyers. There's a finance buyer, there's a cash buyer, and there's the finance buyer that thinks they're a cash buyer. So somebody that learn to say it, if they say, well, we're going to pay cash, great. It sounds like you're the type of people that have saved up. Very smart move. Was this cash that's readily available, or were you planning on going to a bank or a lending institution to get it? It's a simple question. Don't dress it up with a feather boa. Don't put a big feather hat. Don't put a bow tie on it. Just ask the damn question. We dress these things up way too much. We lose the question we're asking and all that fluff we think we need to build around it to be suave and smooth. You come across much smoother and much more direct and much more professional if you just ask the question in a quiet conversational way and let them answer, and then think about their answer, as we just said, and then move on. So cash or finance, and we're going to do the double split, money or bank. Then we're going to go for the deposit. We got to find out how much they're going to put down. And then if they are finance, if they're cash, and we get to the deposit, we're going to explain what?
You take a deposit on a credit card.
But the first thing before I ask that is when we do a cash agreement, we like to get a third when you place the order. We like to get a third when we drop materials. And you keep the last third until you're completely satisfied with the project. Does that work for you? Simple and straightforward. And I am asking it in that methodical a fashion. If I'm talking slow and gentle to somebody like that, when I'm talking about their money, how am I coming across to that homeowner?
Not aggressive.
Not aggressive. Does it show that I respect the fact that I'm talking about their money?
Yeah, you'll lose the enthusiasm at this point. You get into a conversation, your voice should change.
Yes.
This is a normal close. This is the normal close.
Yeah. So the point I'm making is if you rattle through, well, folks, what we like to do when you place an order is if it's a cash order, is we like to get a third when you sign the paperwork. We like a third when we drop the materials, and we like the third when you're completely satisfied with the job. Exact same information with no respect for their money, all about me wanting to hurry up and find out if I'm going to get my money. That's how it comes across. But if I look at them and go, folks, when somebody does do a cash agreement, what we like to do is we like to take a third when you place the order. We'll take the next third once we've delivered all the materials for the job. And you're going to keep the final third until you're completely satisfied that everything's been done to your satisfaction. Does that work for you, folks? That is me telling them what we would like to have happen, and does that work, and are we all good with that? And that's the same words coming across in an entirely different fashion. So, and then at that point, if they say, yeah, that works, I can simply go that first third. Would you do that with a check or credit card, or do I need to get that shovel out of my back of the car so we can go dig up mason jars? Little chuckle. And if they say, we do it a check, you go, what's that check number? Can you go grab your checkbook and see if they go get it? Yeah. Remember, I'm looking to get as many opportunities to assume the sale, because the more no's I can get early, the sooner that buying decision will move up in my closing process, and I'll close at a higher amount. If you're waiting to assume the sale further down before you, I'm going to say asking for the business, but of course we're not asking questions now, we're just making assumptions. But if you don't start that until further down, they're still going to give you the same number of no's. And so now you're going to be further down into your close making less money. So it's okay that 90% of them won't agree here. It's okay. That's the process. Now,
Harold, can I ask you a question?
You can, as long as it's relevant to what we're talking about.
Okay, so how's the weather? So when you said upon satisfaction, what is the time frame for that?
I don't understand your question, Maya.
I mean, we were saying that, the 1/3 deposit, 1/3 the delivery, and the 1/3 upon completion. And you said that as, when you are satisfied with your product. So they will probably ask me, what do you mean? I mean, when am I going to pay the final 1/3? So when
you're going to pay the 1/3, how long, John and Mary, how long did I tell you it takes for the shower to be installed? And they're going to go 1 or 2 days? Exactly, 1 or 2 days. So at the end of the installation, the crew leader is going to come get you and walk you through the job and answer any questions you got. And if you're satisfied, I want you to hand them a check.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. So if they're financed, what do I then have to offer them?
options.
Different options. How many financing options do we want to offer?
Three, you said?
We're going to do 3.
Okay.
Whichever close you're doing, I want you to have 3, even at the 1 year. This is what's called the retail. At the 1 year, you're introducing the 1 year. You're finding out whether they're finance or cash. You're finding out when the time comes. We like a good faith deposit. Most people do between 10 and 20%. That would be somewhere between $2,700 and $5,400 on your project. You can do it with a check, cash, or a credit card. Does that work for you? And they go, yeah, and you find out exactly what the number is and you write it down. And then still on the 1 year, regardless of which closing methodology you're trying to use, still on the 1 year, I want you to say, and we have some great financing options, whether you were to do it now or in the next 12 months, because we're going to talk 9-9. That options we always have. So what's the first financing option that you want to put down?
5 year.
Use 6. So we're going to put down 6 months, and don't put SAC, same as cash. Go 6 months, no payments, no interest. And then explain it so that they understand it might not be for them. Word choices here. So we have a program that gives you 6 months of no payments and no interest. It's great if you need to split your tax years for a retirement account, or if you're doing several other projects and you'll be consolidating them all into a home equity loan or something like that over the next few months. This is perfect for you. Now, the thing is, you do have to have it completely paid off at the end of the 6 months, or it's not the right loan for you. The interest rate shoots up. It's all the way back. Don't tell them the percent. Just say it shoots up. It's all the way back to day one. It's on the whole amount. It's really only designed if you need to bridge a short period of time. And then if they've already told you that they're a finance customer, is this going to be for them? No, and you're just going to mark it out. If they told you they were cash, they'll probably ask about it. But what we're doing is we don't want 24-month same as cash agreements, do we? Tier 4, we don't want it. So the reason we put this out here is if you got a savvy, if you had me that you were demoing, and I was going to use your same as cash program, love the dog, but don't want to hear him. If you were in my home, because I understand how financing works, and I was going to use your same as cash program, you asked me whether you're going to be cash or finance, I'd be using one of your finance programs. But I'd be intending that it would be the same as cash programs. I know that's a finance program. So by bringing it up here, you're going to find out if the 24 months that was on that marketing piece is something that they are hoping to use, so that I can deal with it by giving them an incentive using the verbiage. Folks, that's great. If you want to use the 24-month same as cash, that's fine. Obviously, my company would love to get their money sooner rather than later. So I am authorized, if you could do 6 months same as cash rather than 24, to offer you an extra incentive of, and you can give them a flat dollar amount, $850 off. You can call it a percentage and then tell them what it is, whatever works for the particular person you're in front of. But I'm finding out now where I've got the room to do that movement, not down here in the close where it's going to burn me up in my commissions. So they say, no, we wouldn't be doing that. I'll mark it out. And then I go, we've got 2 other options. I think one of these might be really good for you. We have 9.9% at 60 months. We have 9.9% at 84 months. This one would be $553 a month. And this one is $441 a month. John and Mary, these are unsecured loans. Do you know what an unsecured loan is? They either do or they don't. Yeah, and I want you to always put this in here. Also, they are simple interest with no prepayment penalty. Do you know what that is? And if they have some idea, they might fumble through it. Always give the explanation on this one. Right, and congratulate them if they get close. Exactly, John and Mary. A simple interest loan means that anything above that monthly number is all going on the principal. That's the no prepayment part. No prepayment penalty means it all goes on the principal. dramatically shortens the length of the loan, and you save a bunch of interest because a simple interest loan, you only pay interest for the period of time that you use the loan. So any shortening is money saved. Now, when you look at these folks, what would work best for you, 553 or 441? And if they pick 553, I don't need to ask if it fits in the budget, because it would have picked the lower one if the 553 didn't work. And if they pick 441, I do need to make sure that's completely comfortable for 12 months out of 12 months, because they might have picked it just because that's the lowest one, but it's still a stretch. And if I need to, I'll anchor them, offer a lower number. Because we're using such 60 and 84, you don't have to go $40 or $50 less. You can go 60, 70. Well, folks, again, what if we could do something more in the neighborhood of about 350 a month? Would that work? They go, yeah, all right, we couldn't do over 300, whatever. And you write it, and you circle it. And now I'd go for a close here. And I'm going to use what I call self-talk to walk through it. Okay, 4774, you'd be doing 750 down. We'll put that on your credit card. And we need to be under 300 a month. We can do all that for you. You'd be completely comfortable. All right, and I'm going to go for that fist bump with a handshake. All right, well, let me call the boss, put his feet to the fire on that 300. Get a handshake, a commitment from them before I pick up the phone. So I know that that is all we need. We're good. And then when I pick up the phone, place, people, project, affordability, but I'm able to tell my manager, and you can put the heat on them. Mr. Spire, let me tell you why I called you. Ball's in your court. They love what they've seen. We've got everything put together, but this monthly investment needs to be under 300 a month. And the programs I've got, there's 60 months in the 84. I can't quite get there. I know we have some preferred lending right now that might not be available in the next month or two with what's going on in the markets and with the Fed. But could you please look over those programs we have now and help me out here? What could we do to get this monthly investment to 300 or under? I need some help here. And so all this verbiage, he knows I've got a commitment. They're hearing that it's going to change. This is what's available always, but there are some financing options available now that we might not have in a month or two, all building a passive sense of urgency. And I see if I can. Now, if I look at them and say, would that make you comfortable? And they go, no. That's fine. That's fine. Now, the thing I want you to insert here, if you're doing the 1-year coupon general manager, is you're going to insert, you're now going to do qualification. So they didn't close here. Now, obviously, if they didn't close, they gave me an objection. I'm going to do ARIO or 3-step value bump, depending on which objection it is. I don't want you not to do that. That brings it back to the money. Just like you see on the video, I would then do the return on investment close, because that puts another close in there where you show how much value they've added to the home. That'll get you a couple of people because it puts real numbers back in their pocket. You go for a close again. You can do all of these regardless of which one you're doing. If you're doing, coupon general manager, once you cover this stuff and they bring it back to the overall or any other objection, you still do your 3-step or ARIO, bring it back to money. You still do your return on investment close where you show if they make the mistake twice, once now and once 10 years from now, how much they save there. All that's on the videos that are already posted. You just have to watch them. And then, whether you're doing coupon GM or Grosso, you then go to qualification. And qualification is what? What are we getting ready to do with the move of qualification? We're getting ready to leave. We're getting ready to leave. So you would say, okay, folks, did you have any more questions for me before I go? And start kind of pseudo packing up or straightening things up or a couple things in the box. Did you have any more questions for me before I go? Now, what am I telling the homeowners is getting ready to happen? I'm leaving. What just happened to their sense of pressure or angst that they're having? Gone. If you had any pressure or any tension, it's now gone completely. And so you pack up and they go, no, you've done a great job. Or maybe they'll have a question or two and you answer them. And then the next thing you do is you're going to ask them, how soon? So folks, let me ask you, when should I expect to hear from you? When should I expect to hear from you? Now, all of them are going to tell you a time because you're getting ready to leave. So they're going to just tell you something. This is all right. Yeah, we'll call you in a couple of weeks, call you in a month. You're not going to call you this after this weekend. They'll give you a time. And if they look at you and go, we're never going to call you, you know exactly where you're at, don't you? So they're going to give you a time. And then what's the next thing we're going to say about that time? We're going to say, so soon? So it's, how soon are you going to call me? When can I expect to hear from you? When were you planning on giving me a call? And then it's whatever time they give you, you're going to go, oh my gosh, so soon? So soon? And then what are we going to do after we go so soon? What are we going to introduce to them? You're either going to introduce your retail close, which is Grosso, and the initial visit incentive, or you're going to do coupon and GM if you're doing the current close. And there'll be a third option very soon once Lou shows you what he does. And this is where you could insert Lou's referral setup for the today incentive. So this is where you would do it. So retail close with all these items, going for the close if they're cash, going for the close if they're finance. Would that make you comfortable? Especially if I've had to anchor them on a lower number. If they go, yes, call the manager for that preferred financing that we've got right now that might be going away shortly. If they don't close, they bring it back to either a bullshit objection or the money, ARIO, a 3-step value bump, bring it back to the money. Return on investment close, regardless of your product. There's a whole page and a half on the return on investment close right in your Grosso manual. That shows them how much money they're putting in your pocket. Go for the close again. They don't close. And then you're going to say, folks, did you have any questions before I go? I think we've covered everything. Start packing up. Pressure's gone away. So let me ask you, when can I expect to hear from you? They give you any time frame. You go, wow, so soon. And then you can lead into your coupon GM. Well, folks, I've got to tell you, we've got this incentive from Kohler or Cabinet Restylers. Well, let me tell you about my general manager and what's going on. I don't have this conversation with everybody, but I didn't realize that you were thinking about doing it that soon. So I want to share this extra incentive with you. I don't like to disappoint people, but since it's so soon for you, you need to hear about this. And you can talk about your general manager, or you could talk about the initial visit incentive when that letter comes out, or after Lou gets his session next week and he gets a chance to talk about how he asked for referrals, and I'll tape him doing it as well. And it's already up on YouTube when he did it the other day. You can insert his, setting you up for what's called the major close over here, where you introduce one of these three. And then after that, if it doesn't close on the major close, we are ready to do what? MODs. Now, all I did was do an overview of this, gave you a roadmap, and it took me 25 minutes. Do you think if you had a homeowner responding to you and you were explaining all of these, it would take you at least 25 minutes to get through this process at home? At least, wouldn't it? So the entire time you were doing this 25, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, the only number in front of them was your 1 year number. How valid is that number now in their heads? It's real, isn't it? If you're showing the 1 year number and then 10 minutes later at the most, which is what most of y'all are doing, you're lucky to be at 10 minutes before you're going to your lower number. That first number's got no concrete around it. But if I can sit here and have a 25 to 40 minute conversation while the only number they're looking at is that first number, it is encased in concrete with rebar around it, folks. That's the real deal. And you keep yourself from coming off as slimy or tricky because the whole time you were talking about the future, if and when the time comes, you're just giving them information. You got down here, it didn't work. The 300, you ARIO'd, you 3-step, brought it to money, return on investment. We still need a little bit of time. Okay, I understand. Well, did you have any questions before I go? Taking all that pressure off, changing the game. Find out how soon, so soon. Well, I don't share this with everyone. I hate to disappoint people, but I didn't realize you were considering doing this that soon. I do have one other incentive I want to share about. If I could show you how to save a significant amount of money by acting a little sooner, that'd probably be something you'd want to at least hear about, isn't it? They'd go, yeah, all this verbiage is in there. And then I could go into either one of these three. Do you like that better? Do you see the framework that can be done? You just got to learn it. You got to challenge yourself to tie down chapter, pick one close, just pick one close out of that library closes. Okay. And then work on this. Watch this video. I recorded it. I'll download it off of Zoom when it comes to me later this afternoon. I'll put it up on YouTube tonight. It'll be there tomorrow. Start listening to it. Then you can, if you want to hear Lou's, his is there. We'll do it again with them next week. So you can search number 3. You've got my outline of Grasso on YouTube. So you can look at that. And you already know the 1-year coupon GM that you're doing. So you can transition smoothly, not stress yourself out. Challenge yourself to get a little better at this every day. Just a little better. Go in a home from now on in each demo and say, I'm just going to work on one thing to get a little better, whether it's the tie downs or whether you pick one of those closes and after you read it a couple of times, I'm going to use it the next time the situation comes up, or I'm just going to put qualification. I'm going to start working on this, teeing up, whichever one of the 3 you're doing, you're going to leave, find out how soon, and add this verbiage of, well, I don't like to disappoint people, so I don't tell everybody about this one incentive, but since you're thinking about doing this so soon, if I could show you how to save a significant amount of money to act a little sooner rather than later, you'd probably want to hear about that, wouldn't you? Well, yeah, we'd at least want to hear about it. All right, let me share with you, and you go into whichever one of these 3 it is. Little bit better. You get a little bit better each day, and 6 months from now, you will not recognize yourself. You will not recognize what's going on in your business. I promise you. Anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question, Harold, but I went from a 30% closure to over a 40% closure following this routine.
Yes. And it's the no pressure. And it's the 2 things. It's the no pressure and that walking out here with the qualification, keeping the no pressure off. And they're telling you, well, yeah, I might be willing to act a little sooner. I want to at least hear about that money, and you introduce it. And it's the length of time it lets you sit on that first number. That's the most important. If you can introduce this framework so you're sitting on this number 30 minutes before you're getting over here, it will completely transform what's going on in your home. Not just in how many closes you get, but where they're closing. I promise you. All right. Well, no further ado, go forth and get better. Go forth and get better.
Thank you, Harold. That was awesome.
That was great.
Thank you, Harry.
Yes, always.
Hey,
Thanks,
Harold.
Harold.